Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Crossing Route show where college football and a few other things. I am Sunny Cadwallader, better known as Cad Chica in the social media world, and I, of course, am joined by the expert of the two of us, my partner in crime, Nick Paulenich. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hey, good, Sally. How are you doing?
I am coughing, trying to quit smoking. Not really quitting smoking, but we had a little bit of technical difficulties when we tried to record this show earlier, and I think I have calmed down a little bit, and we are ready to talk some college football. But I need to ask you, Nick, did you survive the fall wedding last Saturday?
I did, and I can thank technology for for that. Yeah, it was a good thing to have a little mix of satellite radio, streaming smartphone, uh, and a little bit of the old school TV that was actually in the bar area for the at the wedding. So that combo there pretty much carried me through. And then the next day I was able to watch a little bit on the DVR. So wasn't like my usual traditional Saturday, but kind of piecemealed it together and saw more than I probably thought I was going to. So I did
That's a
survive.
good thing. That is a good thing when it comes to a college football Saturday. Now, you said something about there was a TV in the bar. How many fans joined you to watch some college football?
Quite a few, especially since it was a very pro Notre Dame wedding, let's just say.
Oh no! Were you at the wedding long enough to watch the end of the game at the bar with those Notre Dame fans?
No, we left.
Oh man, that would have made for some great podcast talk, Nick.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of the podcast. I just,
Oh, see, I gotta train you,
I, wa-
Nick.
I
That would have
wasn't,
been great.
yeah, I wasn't thinking of a good story. We just left. So,
Oh man, that would have made for some good drunk Notre Dame Irish fans
yeah, yeah.
discussion. Huh?
And a broken TV or something.
There you go. Probably broken glass, throwing it at the
Yeah.
bartender. I'm sure a lot of stuff because of that controversial call at the end. What were your thoughts on that call and the overall game itself? The game that Notre Dame had the chance. They could have taken it, but they fell to Florida State and fell from the unbeaten. So what were your thoughts on it?
I felt like most of the game, I felt like Notre Dame was the better team.
Yep.
I felt like most of the game, they were in control. I mean, they ran for 157 yards. Florida State could only manage 50 yards. I mean, they had a hard
Hmm.
time running the ball most of the night. Um, you know, Florida State struggled on third downs. I just thought that but that with the play at the end, when I went back and looked at it and read some of the explanations, it made sense to me. Obviously, it's one of those things you can also understand from not to ride the fence, but you can understand both points of view. It's a very
Right.
technical call, um, but I, I walked away kind of thinking Notre Dame was the better team, but
Hmm.
this Florida State team is it's kind of amazing. They just kind of
They're
live on the
resilient.
edge. Yeah, they just
They're
kind of live
resilient.
on yeah, they live on the edge. I mean, but hey, it's the whole survive and advance and who knows? I mean, Notre Dame gets kicked back to that whole one loss
Yep.
group, but they still have USC and Arizona State on their schedule, so they may be able to re-enter the discussion at some point.
Let's hope not, because Arizona State. We don't want Notre Dame to beat Arizona State. We want the Sun Devils to kick some Notre Dame butt. That's what we want. That's what we want the Pac-12 to rise, Nick. We don't want that. But you're right. You're right. I mean, Florida State, despite all the Jameis Winston controversies, that's plural, not controversy, controversies, they have found a way to win, and they've been resilient. And I don't like it, but that's doesn't matter whether I like it. They're winning it on the field, and that's where it counts, right?
Yeah, and for Notre Dame, I mean, I guess if you're going to lose a game, you lose a game under a controversial kind of situation. It kind of sets you up. The
Yeah.
folks that feel like they got, hosed, then might kind of put an asterisk next to the loss, and they might be able to re-enter the discussion a little different. So,
And
however you look at it.
it always bugs me though when fans or media just focus on on a single play at the end of the game, because what about all the plays prior? You
No,
know,
I agree with you. I mean,
what
we used
about
to
the
have
defense stopping Florida State? I mean,
don't
you
put
get
yourself in that situation,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
you let the referee make the call, that puts you in that situation. No, I agree totally.
Like
So,
it's just like the same way with college kickers. You send in the field goal kicker to kick at the end of the game. Don't rely on a college kicker. Make the plays earlier in the game so you don't have to rely on a college kicker at the end of the game. But hashtag college kickers. Okay, so that Notre Dame Florida State game, it left us with, as well as that Baylor loss, it left us with 4 undefeated teams. We talked a little bit about that last week, about how the college football playoff committee will be coming out with their rankings this coming Tuesday, October 28th. I believe it'll be announced on ESPN, just like it was with the BCS rankings that came out. Um, all a part of the process. What who do you think will be those top 4 teams when that rankings come out on Tuesday?
well, I think they should probably look pretty much. I don't see really anything changing from any of the polls. I see it being Mississippi State, unless I don't
Obviously,
see.
they have to play games this weekend,
Yeah,
but
I mean, barring, I think this week's a pretty safe. I mean, I guess if they play Kentucky, I would think at
yeah,
home.
bye week.
Yeah, and same with Florida State is on a bye week, and Mississippi State. I mean, they have the toughest. They play LSU, and Alabama has Tennessee. So I would say they hold form. If one of them trips up, then I'd say you move Michigan State possibly or Auburn into one of those slots. I mean, I don't see 4 SEC teams into there, but I mean, obviously Florida State's not going anywhere, and I don't see Mississippi State going anywhere. So I think this week will be pretty. They'll hold their form. So, but I think Alabama made a statement last week, pretty much dismantling Texas A&M, that they want to be in the discussion. So,
Yes. Yes, they do want to be in the discussion. I agree with you. I think it'll be MSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Florida State, but I mean, I know it's based on not just your record. It's going to be taking into account schedule, head to head. I still want to watch where they're going to put Marshall in all of this. Marshall does not have a very strong case as far as the conference they play in, head to head, but they're still undefeated. So
yeah,
that's going to be the team to watch, because we talked about them last week. They don't have much of a challenge the rest of
no,
their schedule. So, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, we talked about our undefeated club, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, and there's been a lot of talk about that this week. One coach in particular is the coaches on the hot seat. One of them in your neck of the woods, Nick.
yeah. Brady Hoke, he's got, I mean, a big game for Michigan because they're playing Michigan State, which they used to pretty much own this series, and now they've lost 5 out of their last 6 to the Spartans. So this is probably a win that if he wants to start thinking about 2015, this would be one of the 2 wins he definitely would like to get. The other being Ohio State. I think if they go, and they have to go to East Lansing, and I think if they go up there and they get humiliated, um, he can start getting the moving trucks. So
That's
because
that game is like I'm calling that beware Ann Arbor, because if they win, they'll go crazy. If they lose, burn couches for the opposite of what West Virginia did this past weekend. But I don't want to be anywhere near Ann Arbor at all this weekend if I were
yeah,
you.
Yeah, because yeah, because it's not. It's just I think there's such a rivalry between the two schools in the state that I think ever since, and then it got fueled when Mike Hart a few years ago called them little brother, and ever since then Michigan State has really not had a problem with Michigan, so
Hmm.
which has become kind of like the joke now they call them. So it's but I think this is a key game for Brady Hoke. Moving down the stretch because you can't keep losing to your rivals, especially
Yeah,
your in-state rival that's just an hour up the road. And it's not good
right,
when they're ranked in the top 5, depending on poll top 10, and you're struggling to even go 500. So
right. We were talking before the show. We 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 have these ideas when we're preparing for the show throughout the week, and we find these websites, and there's a website called coacheshotseat.com. um, we won't talk about the Heisman. We're not going to discuss the Heisman this week because there's enough talk out there about it, but the last time we talked about a website, the person in charge of that website is now working with the man, like you called it. So who knows what's going to happen with Coach's Hot Seat, but they had Brady Hoke as the number 2 coach on the hot seat, right? Isn't that
hmm
what we saw? Who
yes,
is
they
number
did.
1?
Will Muschamp in Florida. So I mean, the last week they got beat 42-13 by Missouri. And so they're having problems. Their offense has been a disaster, and they've lost 8 of the last 10 SEC games and 12 of their last 19 overall. So um, they fired Ron Zook when he had a lot better record than Will Muschamp. So I think
Are you going to apply for that Craigslist ad there, Nick?
I might throw it in, especially when the winter comes. I wouldn't mind living in Florida. So
Yeah, no doubt about that. Head south, young man. Head south.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, those are two. I mean, I think the Florida job would be a great job. I mean, with all the talent down there. I mean, obviously it's a difficult conference, the SEC, but I mean, it's a great. I don't know what has been all why Will Muschamp has not gotten this thing going. I mean, he was at one point the coach in waiting at Texas for when Mac Brown was there, and he left that to take this Florida job, and this has just not worked out. And now he could be possibly on his way out. So
I
uh,
saw I saw a tweet today and I'll be able to show you how this all relates, saying that Kevin Sumlin should call Will Muschamp if Muschamp gets fired and hire him as his defensive coordinator. And how that relates to our topic is that that same website had Kevin Sumlin as the number 5 coach on the hot seat, which yes, they do have some issues on defense, but I don't know. I don't know that I would say Muschamp is on the hot seat. Would you? I mean, Sumlin is on the hot seat. Sorry about that. Would you say that
no,
Sumlin's on the hot
no,
seat?
no. I think there's other coaches that I would go down. They had a great year last year. They started off. I mean, and this year, I mean, even up to this year, I mean, yes, they got crushed by Alabama last week, but hey, even somebody even still gave them a vote in the coaches poll. So
And
no,
it
I can't see it. I mean, they've made a pretty good transition to the SEC, and I think the guy's he's won everywhere. I mean, he was great at Houston. I couldn't. I would be shocked if they pulled that one off.
and it's not. I think their problems. Yes, they are on defense mostly, and it's not the loss of Manziel. If they have any problems on offense, didn't they lose what 2 or 3 of their offensive linemen to the NFL? Isn't
Yeah,
that
they
how many
lost
they lost?
Matthews, and then they lost the receiver Mike Evans. I mean, they
Yeah,
lost a lot. There's a lot of talent, and I mean, I know, Kenny Hill came out and had the big game, and everybody thought, oh, Johnny Manziel, who? But I mean, there's still a transition. They still lost a lot, and
yeah,
you know,
on both sides of the ball.
and you can't go into every game expecting to outscore by 60 to 50. I think you're right. I mean, he definitely. I mean, it actually would be great. Muschamp's a really good defensive coordinator. I mean, you bring him in and you fix it, especially getting the talent from Texas. He knows Texas. That would actually be a really good fit. So,
Yeah, and the other one, just and to show how ludicrous that list is, I mean, I shouldn't say ludicrous the entire list because most of it was the ones that we were thinking was Muschamp, Hoke, Al Golden down in Miami. Miami, I don't know if their fans are living in the past, but they expect to be at the top. And then somebody in the Big Ten that you brought up is Tim Beckman at Illinois. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, he's really struggled. I mean, I saw him when he was at Toledo, and then he had success there, and then he came over, and then this year his only wins are against Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, and Texas State. So, and he's really struggled in the Big Ten. And again, not to keep bringing up Ron Zook, but that's who he, but why not? But Ron Zook had more.
This is Ron Zook segment. We've replaced.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Utah today.
No, we're all about Ron Zook. And he's got to get bowl eligible. He's got to get 3 wins from he's got Minnesota, Iowa, Northwestern, Ohio State, Penn State coming up. So out of that mix, he's got to figure out 3 wins. So he has really struggled there. So I mean that's a tough job. But
it's tough to recruit in the Big Ten up against Michigan States, the Ohio States, the Penn States, and come to Illinois. We're a basketball school, but we do play football too, right?
Yeah, and now you're when you're in basically Champaign, you're down in the southern part of the state, and you can go up against now Missouri, who's in the SEC, so that makes it that tough too, and so there's a lot of factors. So I don't know. Yeah, Illinois may be shopping for a new coach soon. So. But they will be wearing some pretty cool uniforms for homecoming this week. They're wearing the Red Grange throwback Galloping Ghost uniform, so they'll look good this week, no matter what. So.
And if you are listening to the podcast, yes, we record this on Google Plus, and Nick just froze there for a minute, but it's not a glitch in the podcast. It's just part of the show, and that's just how we roll. We just roll with all the technical issues and whatnot, and we're not going to let anything stop us from discussing what I think is an intriguing coaching story this weekend. I'm not quite sure what is going to happen, but Lane Kiffin, offensive coordinator at Alabama, is heading back to Tennessee. The school that he left and basically said, I'm gone. I like USC better. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on, because there was a story out either today or yesterday about his mom worried for his safety, which I don't blame her. I mean, as a mom, I completely understand where she's coming from, but what do you think is going to happen with the Tennessee fans, Nick? I'm not quite sure, and I can't get a beat on that yet.
I think he won't be greeted probably kindly. If I were him, I would probably stay close to Nick Saban and those
all those state troopers.
State troopers. I mean, I would like to think there will be nothing. I mean, I'm sure if you're there close, I'm sure you would want to probably put your hands over your ears. I'm sure there'll be some choice words that'll be thrown his way. It'll be very interesting considering the way he left and kind of the way he left everything. It'll be an interesting situation. Like you said, hopefully it's just
because they were filled with absolute hate. I mean, if you read message boards and tweets and anything under the sun, listen to sports talk radio, they were filled with hate. And I don't know if they. Here's my question though: is should they be? Because they saw what he did at USC, which is not USC level, which USC fans expect them to be challenging for a national championship. I would assume Tennessee fans are the same way. Shouldn't they see what happened at USC and be thankful that he didn't stay there?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if he stays there 3 or 4 years, I mean, are they that much better? I mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, you know this. It wasn't like he kicked it with the Raiders either. So
Yes.
I mean,
Thanks.
it's kind of
Thanks, Nick.
almost. You're
You just had to
welcome,
bring up
but
my winless Raiders in the show. Oh, it's all right. Just need a
but I mean,
moment. You talk.
it's just it's just amazing. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, so it's like, did you really want to have him for 3 more years? It seems like Butch Jones has got them. Yeah, you've had a painful. You had the Derek Dooley years. Maybe you're angry because you had Derek Dooley for a couple of years. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like right now Lane Kiffin has really done anything as a head coach yet. I mean,
I
to
mean,
make
yes, he dealt with. I mean, he dealt with a challenging situation with USC, the probation, the scholarships, but has Sark taken? Did Kiffin recruit well enough at USC to where Sark should be winning everything this year? You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
I guess when this is what I don't understand with fans is why they hold on to grudges against a coach that left them if if they see that coach didn't do very well at the school he left them for. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, yeah, it's not like he walked off and won 6 national championships at USC and left them in shambles or their program. Yeah, I don't really think
He
he
wasn't a
wasn't the
Phil.
right.
He wasn't a Phil Fulmer. He was
No.
not a Phil Fulmer, so he was not going to. I could not see him doing Phil Fulmer type of work or records at Tennessee. We see how difficult it is with Kevin Sumlin competing in the SEC. Missouri, yes, they beat Florida, but that was Florida. It's tough to compete in the SEC. Was Kiffin revered by Tennessee fans that in that way that he was their savior and going to take them to the promised land? No, they shouldn't have. If they did, that's on them.
Yeah, and I think it's more of one of those things. I think it's, I think a lot of the SEC fans, and I think this could be said for a lot of these big programs, it's almost that we're slighted, like we should be a destination. Like nobody should ever leave.
Yes.
And I think sometimes you see that with Florida with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer won them 2 national championships. There's still a lot of folks that do not like Urban Meyer in Gainesville anymore, or because they feel like that should have been his final stop.
That I can see
So
because of what he was able to do with the program. But I just don't get it with Tennessee fans. It's like they're the jilted lover or something. I don't know. But that's just me. So what do you expect in that game with Alabama and Tennessee? Do you see Alabama still being angry Alabama and just rolling over Tennessee and making Tennessee fans even more mad?
yeah, I mean, I do. I feel like the way that Saban's got the defense. Saban seems to have just kind of taken that team. I mean, they were very dominant in the game against Texas A&M. I think they ran for almost 300 yards. I think he has them pretty focused. I mean, Texas A&M has a lot better offense than Tennessee, so I have to expect. And he got their offensive line a lot more straightened out. So I think I could see this one being pretty brutal as well. So I just don't think Tennessee's quite there yet. I think Butch Jones is still working there. I mean, they're still winless in the SEC. I don't think they're going to get their first win against Alabama. So
Yeah, they don't have the depth. I don't think they have the depth to compete
no,
whatsoever. They're not on that level yet. But I mean, it seems like he's got them going in a positive direction. And I think Butch Jones seems like he'd be one to stay there for the long haul, which I'm sure will get Tennessee fans happy, and hopefully they will leave Lane Kiffin alone, and not take it all out on him and let his mama have some peace in her sleep.
And if things are going, I mean, maybe his worst problem would be is if things get bad, then he may be more intimidated by Nick Saban on the sideline. He might be looking for Tennessee fans
Yeah,
protecting him
Tennessee.
right up in the stands.
Yeah, I got to deal with Nick Saban on a daily basis. Yeah, that's what his mama should be worried about is Nick Saban if they lose, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So if we want to stay in Knoxville.
Yeah, well, that matchup did not make any of my top matchups for the week, Nick. I don't what are I've got a special way to deliver my matchups for this week. What are some of the games you are looking forward to? Because you don't have a wedding this weekend.
No, I don't. I'm actually
Woohoo!
going. I'm actually going to a game. I'm going to actually a MAC game this week. It's not one that's on. I'm going to see the Toledo Rockets and UMass play. So it's not a huge
Nice.
game, but
Hashtag action.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing. So gonna get see a little action in the afternoon, and then gonna come back and watch some more. So it's kind of fun. So it's always good to get outdoors. Actually, we're gonna actually have good weather, so that's even better. So,
Will you be
um,
home in time for the Ohio State game?
oh yes, I am. It'll be 8 o'clock. So
Oh, yes. Gotta make sure you're home for that, right?
yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, go
So
ahead. Sorry, I
um,
interrupted you.
this week is not I not a lot of ton of great games. I'm kind of intrigued now with West Virginia, just after them beating Baylor. So I think that West Virginia Oklahoma State game will be kind of fun. Um, none of the scoreboards did explode last week in the Big 12. They weren't as
Darn.
what they were. But no, I think that's a
Maybe
game. I
this
think
weekend.
yeah. And I think that I always like to tip my hat to a Utah game. So I think USC at Utah will be, because that'll be a interesting one, just because I think Utah has a really good defense, but they just have a lot of problems at quarterback. And that's for you a Pac-12 game there too. So
Yes, that's a battle for the Pac-12 South. So
yeah, exactly.
that is a key game in the Pac-12 South. Look at
Yeah.
you. Of course you had to do Utah. You had to do a shout out to our Utah peeps, didn't you?
I do. I have to keep us big in the Salt Lake area.
We love Utah. I'm not quite wearing a red shirt, but it's close enough. So there you go, Utah. That's your shout out, Utah. So was that all your games?
I mean, obviously, living here, we kind of covered it. I think that I think like obviously like where I live, the Michigan State game. I don't think it's going to be competitive, but I think just the storyline of what will happen is if Michigan State takes them apart, I think then kind of like the Sunday after, like the Brady Hoke, the aftermath, I think is kind of interesting. Not that not that you're wishing somebody to just have bad things or anything, but just obviously this is a very key game. I mean, he wins this game, they're 4-4, and it changes a lot of things for them. And obviously, it's a huge. It takes Michigan State right out of the playoff, and it changes a lot of things. And I think as far as any of the other games, I think that's about. I think in the SEC, I think we've covered the interesting ones there. I mean, Mississippi at LSU is probably that's two ranked teams. Mississippi
Yep.
going to LSU. Mississippi beat them last year. That'll be interesting. Mississippi's got a really tough defense. They're holding teams to around 10 points, so that should be an interesting game as well. So those would be my games.
Well, since when college football rolls around on a Saturday, it starts at 9 a.m. my time. I'm fortunate if I don't work a game. That's about breakfast time for me. So I'm calling this my breakfast lunch, my full day of meals games. Breakfast. I'm going to start with Rutgers at Nebraska. I like that matchup. I'm curious. I think Nebraska Nebraska have last week off? I thought they had last week off. I don't remember now. I know
Yes, they
this makes
did.
for great radio or
Yes,
great.
yeah, they played Northwestern.
Okay, so that was more or less a bye week, anyways. So I'm curious to see how well Rutgers will do up against Nebraska. So that's the breakfast game, 9 a.m. game for me, 12 for you folks in the East. So that's the one I'm interested in seeing for breakfast. The lunchtime game, you've already mentioned one of them, West Virginia at Oklahoma State. I think scoreboards will explode in that one. That I'm expecting scoreboard explosion in that one. But out west, out west, there is going to be another scoreboard explosion because that is going to be actually it's a late lunch. It's like a mid-afternoon snack. Arizona at Washington State. The number one passing quarterback versus the number 9 passing quarterback. I'm talking about Connor Halliday is the number one. He's got like he's almost at 4,000 yards, I think, for the year. He's for Washington State, going up against Anu Solomon in Arizona. Arizona's only lost to USC with a heartbreaker of a missed field goal. And like I said, remember, kids, don't leave your game up to a kicker at the end of a game. So that should be double scoreboard explosions at lunch and your mid-afternoon snack. Dinner time, 7 p.m. start. No, that's not right. Dinner game would be the Ole Miss at LSU game. Also, late night nightcaps would be USC at Utah. I had that game too. So I was going to do a Utah shout out if you did not do that one.
Well, that's a double Utah shout out.
Yes, I know. We're big in Utah. We are big in Utah, baby. So we gotta take care of our Utah peeps. And Arizona State and Washington. Arizona State at Washington. I believe Arizona State got a big win. Well, it looked like a big win last week against Stanford's helpless, hapless Stanford offense. But at Washington, they did lose last week to Oregon, but when they're at home, it's a tough place to play in Husky Stadium, right near the water. The way that stadium is set up, it gets loud, and I would expect them to be loud, and they will have partied and tailgated all day long, so that'll be a rowdy crowd. The Washington defense, the front 4, front 7, they can play tough. Taylor Kelly will be back for Arizona State, I believe, so that should be interesting. Arizona State needs to win that one, I think, to continue leading in the Pac-12 South with USC and Utah playing each other. That'll be a good test for Arizona State. So those are my games, my sleeper games. Do I have a sleeper game? Tomorrow night. Shout out to Utah again, Nick.
Oh, nice. Oh, why not?
BYU at Boise State. That should be a fun one tomorrow night, I hope. And then Saturday, just sleeper games, North Carolina at Virginia. Because North Carolina just seems to be scoring like crazy.
Yeah, they have fun games. I mean, they
do.
They're entertaining.
They have some fun, high-scoring games. They may not win many, but they've got some fun games, and so I'm interested to see how they match up with Virginia. Virginia's ranked 33rd in the nation in total defense, I believe, scoring defense, in defense. So I think that's going to be a sleeper game. Do you have any sleeper games, Nick?
No, I mean, like, I always like to go with like a non-Power 5 one, and I know, like, in the Mountain West, I always am partial there since I lived out in that area for a while. So, like, Colorado State, they've been playing well. They beat Utah State. Now we've gotten all 3 Utah schools. But they play.
And that's our Utah crowd cheering us on.
But they play Wyoming this week, and Colorado State's 6-1, and they've only lost to Boise State, so obviously they'll need some help. But it makes for an interesting matchup, and they have a fun offense too to watch. So just one of those kind of like off the radar games sometimes that are fun to watch that don't get a lot of publicity. So
Well, since we're giving publicity to those that don't get a lot of publicity, here is your FCS report because I did go to the Eastern Washington game last weekend. Eastern Washington, #2 in the FCS, still behind 7-0 North Dakota. They did pull out a win. Did win with their backup quarterback. Um, some secondary linemen even they've just been bit by the injury bug big time. But they did pull out a win against Northern Colorado. They did not. There was no turnovers in that game, Nick, until the second or third to last play of the game when Northern Colorado threw an interception. Uh,
wow.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't a pretty game. There was even a fake field goal. It was beautiful fake field goal by Eastern Washington. Not a whole lot of offense, but the Eagles pulled it out. But they are at Northern Arizona, beautiful city of Flagstaff, Arizona, my home
Yeah.
state. So they'll have a tough test against Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks, in the Kibbe Dome. Meanwhile, North Dakota State, 7-0, of course, ranked #1 in the FCS, three-time defending champion, is at lowly South Dakota, 2-5 record. #3, New Hampshire is hosting Stony Brook. New Hampshire's 5-1. #4, Coastal Carolina, 7-0 on the season. Looks like they've got the toughest challenge of any of the top 5 teams in FCS. They're at Charleston. They're hosting 5-2 Charleston Southern, and #5 Villanova, 6-1 on the season. They host 4-3 Morgan State, and that concludes your FCS report.
I did. I saw New Hampshire, and I saw New Hampshire play their opener this year.
You did?
Yeah, I saw them play Toledo. So.
Oh, did they? Is that their one loss on the season then?
Yep, that is. They lost like 58-20, I think it was.
Oh goodness! At least Eastern Washington was close in their game. That was the 7-touchdown. Eastern Washington's only loss is to the Washington Huskies from the Pac-12, where they had 700 yards of total offense or something like that. It was just 7 touchdowns, 1,100 yards of total offense. But that concludes your FCS report for today. I do not have a game to go to this weekend. I get to stay home, but the next 2 weekends I will be headed to Eastern Washington games. I forget who they play next week at home, but then November 8th is the key game because that is against their arch rival Montana. So and Vernon Adams should be back by then. So anything else on your plate for the weekend? What do does your wife do a honey-do list, Nick?
Yeah, sometimes we do some stuff like that. But last week we got some of the stuff done on Sunday. So yeah, but not yeah. She knows. She likes football a lot too, though. So I'm fortunate I'm married to somebody who's into football. So
that's a good thing.
Yes, it's very good.
I, on the other hand, am not married to someone who likes football. He is not into football whatsoever, but he works on Saturdays, so it's all good. I can just watch and do what I want and make sure the kids do their chores, and it's all good.
Yeah, you can send them. Yeah, so I usually just try to get my stuff done. But she's used to this now that basically Saturdays have been built. I just put stuff on a calendar. I always put in the schedules of teams and games and stuff. So and then it's kind of like work around this. So she kind of knows. That's why And then if we get a wedding, I complain, and then I get in trouble, and then I go and
That's okay. As long as you get the honey-do list done, you're probably okay, right?
Yep, I am. So, yeah, well, I've used some of my Sundays for a while because as a Steelers fan, some of the times it's been easier to go out and work on the yard than watch them. So.
Well, let's not. You already stabbed me in the heart with the Raiders comment, Nick. Let's not get into the NFL, shall we?
That's true.
All right. Before we close out the show, I have one last question. I think I have I think I have the number right. And it's going to be a prediction for you.
Okay.
I think, if I've got this right, the over-under for Arizona Washington State is at 110. Over or
Oh,
under?
I'm gonna go.
It's in Pullman. Let me
Strange things happen there.
Yes, let me check the weather report, because if anything like a it's anything like oh, see, we had another computer glitch. Uh, I think the weather is supposed to be rainy this weekend. I could be wrong. Let's see, because that will have a big effect on the passing games of both Halliday and New Solomon, right? I mean, I would think so.
Yeah.
So let's see.
But
Go ahead.
I think I'm gonna go with the under. That's a lot. That's a heck of a. That's a. That's a lot.
70% chance of rain on Saturday. Gosh, I'm so glad I'm not going to that game. Yeah, 70% chance of rain, wind at about 17 miles an hour, but sometimes in that stadium it can get a little windier. And the low will be about 43 degrees. I know yes, we do talk weather here on the Crossing Route Show. So you're going under for 110?
Yeah. It doesn't mean it won't be. I'm seeing like maybe it might be like yeah, that's pretty like a 65-40 kind of score. So it's playing it close, but yeah.
I think you're right. I think I'm going to go under as well, with just because of the weather. I think Arizona will pull it out, though. I'm going to say 35-30. That's what I'm going to go with. 35-30 for my Cats. There we go.
And Connor Holiday will throw it 85 times.
Yeah, probably. And the question will be, how many times do they go for it on fourth down?
Yeah.
That's a Mike Leach deal. How many
Yeah.
times do they go for it on fourth down because it doesn't like the kicking game or punting or whatever? So
No,
there we
he played. Yeah, that's funny though.
I know. That should be
It's
that
like,
should be a fun game.
yeah.
So, Nick, tell everybody where they can connect up with you in our worldwide interwebs.
All right, you can catch me on Twitter at the symbol NPAULENICH. That's at Nick Paul at N Paulenich. Having a hard time saying my own name, which is probably good that we're getting out.
Yes.
And also on my website at thesportsavant.com, which will also take the other places I write. So.
And when are you starting to dig into the NFL draft big time? After the first of the year, or
Yeah, usually I do. I was thinking about starting to put together some just preliminary pieces just to start to do. I've actually started to kind of do some looking around and stuff like that because. But yeah, I'd like to start doing. But yeah, usually some serious writing after the first. But started to like look around actually in the last few weeks. So.
right on.
So.
Cool. You can find me, everyone. I'm me, Sunny Cadwallader, at CadChica on Twitter and Instagram, plus Sunny Cadwallader on Google+, and find the latest things that have been rolling around in my head, my latest ramblings on the world of sports and social media. You can even see some of the pictures I took at last weekend's Eastern Washington game on my website, cadchicasports.com. That's cadchicasports.com. And every once in a while, I will write on thesportingnation.com with the Latino Hispanic flair for stories covered there. And enjoy the football, everybody. Enjoy the Maction, Nick.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They're always fun. I like doing. There's always no, and the Rockets are in first place right now, so that's fun.
You need to tweet from there, Nick. You need to tweet from the game.
Okay, I will. I think they've improved. I think they put in actually a tower now, like right by the stadium. Like I think like this year we actually got good connection. Like yeah, because a couple years ago we couldn't. And then I remember I was there a couple years ago on a Tuesday night when they played Northern Illinois, and it was like 68-66 they lost, and we got home really late. But it was one of the most fun games I've ever been to. It was like basically the clock ran out. It was like whoever was going to have the ball last was going to win, and
Are you,
and that's basically what happened. So,
are you tailgating from there?
um, I don't know. My brother lives like right near the campus, so we may.
All
So
right. Well, at least tweet some pictures ahead of
I will.
time in case the Wi-Fi in stadium Wi-Fi doesn't work. But you need to tweet from the games, Nick.
Okay, I will. I will do that. So we should.
Cool.
Yeah. Ohio State had no capability of 20. I don't know if it's because it was like 100,000 people of
Probably.
being killing Verizon towers and stuff, but
But we
yeah.
love Verizon because they helped you out at the wedding, right, Verizon? We love
Yes, they
Verizon.
did. And they even called me today and asked me if I wanted to up my data because I used so much this last week. So.
Well, we will plug them on the show then. Thank you, Verizon, for helping Nick out on fall weddings. And remember, kids, hashtag Stop Fall Weddings. And be sure you connect with us on social media. And we will talk to you next time.